gonna record on Sage these past few days. So welcome everyone to the Sage Clean Up My Plant List workshop. Today we're going to talk about, well, just walk you through actually the process of doing this. I did this in preparation. I did this as well. And it was just, for me, very, very helpful to take the time. If I didn't do it, then I wouldn't be able to, I need to do this for myself. And I thought if it's just for me, it's a waste. So here we go. I hope you have your pen and papers with you, easy access to Sage if you need it. But this is how we're going to roll today. A little bit of an introduction by Dave on what Sage, what's happening in Sage now. We're going to create our plant list just with prompts and questions. So that's the bulk of the time here. And then talk about the different systems and maybe share the different systems that we use and work well for us. And then Dave's going to hop back in with a walkthrough of the how to do it if you were to choose Sage as your system of keeping your plant records. And then any questions. So since it's 5 things and we have an hour, I'm going to keep on rolling here. So I always like to say plan before you plant because that just eliminates a lot of chaos at the end of the season when you have a lot of a messy garden and gaps in your spaces. So it's the most optimal way, most efficient, and most beautiful way to do it is to plan before you plant. So Dave, did you want to talk about this part?
Yeah, so just very briefly, since we the last meeting was around a little bit before Thanksgiving, um, I've pushed a few little feature updates to say some of them we'll talk about today. But the My Plants area has support. I've added support for multi-year, so you can do multiple years now. And then that's right now. That's only for your areas. It's not part of the design yet, so that will come in the next update. You can now add custom plants and uh, some notes for each plant, where you can upload a photo and a few little notes. It's not as involved as it will be for the observations page that will come out in January. And then I'm kind of in the middle of a couple other features that we're adding for the My Plants portion of Sage. So attached to the custom plants will be a seed inventory so that you can just keep a track of what you have. We'll be adding a crop rotation view. So right now we have a timeline, like time space view. We have a guild view and what's the other one? A plant families view. So this crop rotation is just so that you can make sure that you're doing the heavy feeder, light feeder kind of rotations with the plants that you're organizing. Finally, we'll have a PDF print so that you not have to be online for everything once you have your data and you want to just print it out in a nice thing that you can post on a wall or just keep handy. And then finally, just expanding the spreadsheet. There's a spreadsheet view instead of grouping things by area, so you can just see everything all at the same time. So just improving that.
So now we'll go straight into creating your plant list. Thanks, Dave, for that intro on where we are in Sage. So if you have your pen and notebooks handy or your whatever spreadsheet online, list down what you grew in 2023. And this may be a long list. I'm gonna give you 1 minute. Let me see. 1 minute may not be enough for Vivian to grow. Oh, but what did you grow in 2023? And if you can identify any notes, what grew well, what didn't grow well, list those down too. So where's my timer? I'll do 1 minute starting now. Okay. Everybody good? How is that? Everybody get there? Still going? Okay, so now that we have what did we grow in 2023, what grew well, what didn't grow well, I'll share what I had listed for ourselves. So annuals that we grew in 2023 that grew well, collards always grow well where we are, spinach, and maybe this will help uh, spark some like memories of what you guys grew too, if there's some things that you're blanking out on. Tomatoes, and I just put some notes like I used Bevan Cohen's tips and they worked wonders. These are those pick at first blush and aerate them at the bottom. Cabbages formed heads. This is the first year for us that this happened. Kale, they grew well, but could be better. Got harlequin bugs. Daikon, as you can see with Dave here, had mega daikon. Beans and pumpkins grew well, and yeah, lettuces. What didn't grow well for us was the timing on our Brussels sprouts was off. So we're going to try that again. Onions, there's something in the soil that's lacking because they didn't grow well anywhere. And then carrots, we didn't even sow. We just neglected to sow them. Eggplants, flea beetles got them, netted them too late. And peas, we didn't really care about trellising them. So they were all over the place. And then we didn't get many peas. We got beans, but not peas. So um, that's the annuals. Do you guys need a minute to think about your perennials, or what do y'all think? Yeah? Did you have any perennials? I'll give you all a minute more for this perennial section and then we'll. So, what grew well for you perennials starting now? Okay, that's it. So, what didn't grow well for us were all the things that were eaten by deer. Did anybody else have a problem with what didn't grow well? And
Yeah, pumpkin.
yeah, Rachel, what happened to you with your?
Yeah, well, I had no apples this year.
Mhm.
That was a big problem for me. Thought they'd start producing this year, so nothing there. Um, and then, I mean, back to some of the annuals, like my squash and melon didn't really do anything. So the 2 years ago, I had great butternut squash, and then this past year, nothing. And same for melons. It's like the vines didn't even grow very well. So I'm not sure what happened this year with them.
Yeah, well, that's great. It's great to notice that and then to take note. And if you think about it, what were those things? Were they planted in the same spots as they were before? I don't think they were because I remember yeah. And hi Regina, by the way. And Vivian, how about you since you're at the bottom of my screen? What didn't go well for you?
Um, well, we're still being challenged with our timing on our tomatoes, of trying to in the spring get them in early enough so that we can get them fruiting and ripe before it gets too hot or they get pest pressure. And then in the fall, are planting early enough so that they can ripen before the first frost. So or I need to get better frost coverage, because there's people that are near here that their tomato plants are still growing.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't have the right frost coverage, I think,
Okay.
to protect the plants.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to know. And maybe I know you already started your tomatoes earlier last year, so I wonder if making it even earlier would
Yeah,
make
yeah,
it earlier
yeah,
than what we thought it was. Because
yeah.
yeah, that's probably it.
And I surprisingly had onions got infested with aphids. I know that they're supposed to be usually something that you grow to help keep aphids away from things, but I got these black aphids infesting my onions. I mean, like they were covered, and I would go out and pull them,
Uh-huh.
get them off. But and
Wow.
so that was not good. Our peppers are just still getting hot peppers that are the frost did not hurt them, just the top part, and some of the hot peppers are still turning red. The one bush is just like full, probably 100 peppers in it.
So you're good on the peppers, not on the tomatoes yet.
Yeah. So besides that, I mean, we also recently harvested our sweet potatoes, and we got about 35 pounds in a 4x10 area. So I think that was much better
Wow.
than last year. We didn't get very much at all. So I think the watering improved, and they were in a slightly different place in the garden that may have been better soil for them.
Nice. Well, congrats on that. I'm glad you ended in a good note because I'm
Yeah.
not talking about the problems. How about you, Vic? Vic?
I had a lot of problems, but most of it was neglect. I mean, I started a ton of seeds. It's just I didn't maintain it to, keep them happy and healthy. But as far as the perennials go, I had the same issues with deer and other you know, wildlife animal friends. But yeah, our pear plums, they got the flowers. They got them early. So I didn't even get to see any little fruit. The pawpaws didn't do well at all. We got that I saw 3 fruit, and they were already on the ground. So and as far as the veggies go, I didn't see any asparagus, which is kind of
It would
weird.
be their second year, is that right?
This would be their 3rd year.
But you saw Franz the first year,
Oh yeah.
and then
And
nothing.
then the second year I had like, little tiny skinny ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, how weird is that?
So I don't know whether it's just, again, neglect, like I didn't water and care for the beds enough.
Yeah.
But I thought they were a little more hardy than that. But we'll see. Let's
We'll
hope
see
for
if
luck
they
next
come
year.
back. Oh my gosh. We'll see if they come back. Well, the
Yeah.
reason that I wanted to do this, and Regina, you're here. I'm not sure if you're able to talk because I know you're in the middle of homeschooling too. But if you are, or you want to unmute, or you want to share in the chat, let us know what you are. Yeah, what was it that you tried to grow but didn't grow well? Because from here we take what those circumstances are and see if we want to try again this year. If we've already tried the 3rd year and it's just not working, then maybe we will forgo that. But we're going to try to. I'll share screen again. From here we will take note of those things, because basically what I do, before we go there, what currently do we have in our seed inventory? So take a moment to go find your seed boxes or seed containers. I should have put this in the email reminder, and rifle through them if you don't. So I'll give you a moment to just grab them if you have them. And Regina says, it is loud here. We only tried to grow radishes in the fall, and only a couple had bulbous roots. Yes. And I know that circumstances that are around there are also because that place that you're working in is a little bit a new garden. So usually new gardens, they need to have things grown in them to get more balanced. And it's also, you could add probably more compost in that garden bed as well, just to get a little more life in that. So, but thanks for sharing, Regina. I hope you might try again. I don't know if your kids enjoyed that one, or maybe peas or beans for this coming season, for the spring season, in terms of veggies. But you can also feel free to do flowers or whatever seeds you have. So if you know what seeds you currently have, so go find your seed boxes, rifle through them, and start making, and here's where we're going to start making that list. So you can write them out, write them down if you have a pen and paper or your journal, garden journal, or your spreadsheet in front of you. So I'll give a minute just to write down what seeds you currently have in your seed storage. And welcome, Nicole. So glad you could join us. We started by listing what did not grow well, what grew well, what did not grow well in 2023. And here I'm just giving you some space. I'll give an extra minute because Nicole just joined us. So the first question was thinking about what grew well and what didn't grow well in 2023. Ooh, that's the first minute. So I'll do another one. All right. And that last minute was for listing. And you can keep on going and listing what seeds you currently have in your seed storage box or seed storage unit. So Nicole, when after we thought of the 2023 year, we went and got our seed boxes, rifled through them, and looked through what we currently had and listed them down. So I know 1 minute or 2 minutes is not enough time to list all of our seeds perhaps down, but it's just enough time perhaps to familiarize ourselves with what we currently have and realize so that when we make the seed purchases, we don't go, oh, we already had that.
So we have a lot more than this, but this is just the.
So yes, so for me, like a big project and that Dave entrusted to me, I'm really excited to tackle is the gardens around the actual farmhouse. And they're not pretty, they don't have flowers in them because the deer all ate the stuff that I tried to grow, which are mostly bulbs. But then I thought, okay, what do I have? And if I use, mostly I've been seeing in wildflower mixes, they're mostly annual seeds anyways. And so I have a lot of the annual seeds here for flowers. And I'm reading them just to give you some ideas in case you thought you might want to plant these as well, okay? So bee balm, calendula, chamomile, marigold, milkweed, nasturtium, sunflower, stock, tung ho, zinnia, wild bergamot. So these are seeds that I already have and I don't need to buy. And then, oh, I didn't put what veggies we already had because we have a ton of veggies. It's more like, what don't we have in terms of veggies? So list the seeds that you already have that are veggies, and then seeds that, yeah.
One thing is the maybe you could explain a little bit about how we organize our seeds too. A little
Yes. So maybe, yeah. Thank you, Dave. Okay. Okay, so maybe I'll give a tour of that. And if you want to pin me or spotlight me, let me see if I can spotlight myself. Spotlight for everyone. All right, so here inside my seed shop is
Your
my
camera's a little dirty, or
okay, thank you.
sorry, it's just a little.
Don't have any tissue or anything here with me. No.
All right.
Here, thank you. Okay, so this is my seed shop, and in it we have these different boxes. And this is just like mega, not everybody has this amount because it's not their business to have it. But I have a box for flowers and herbs, a box for cold season because that's the climate that I'm in, that I can maximize. In other climates, if you're more if Georgia, then it'll probably be a warm season box. I actually have 2 cold season boxes. So and then I have brassica, one dedicated to brassicas because we grow a lot of that.
I think it's best if you're just trying to figure out how to organize it. Doing it by season is probably more valuable initially than by plant family.
Yes.
It'll be the spring soon, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to grow in the spring? It's nice to have all the cold season stuff separated out from the summer season, so that you know what you can start without having to think about it. Is this a cold season? Is this a
Yeah,
summer season?
good idea. Thanks, Dave. It's a good tip. So then I have 2 bean boxes because we're big on the legumes, right? Nitrogen fixers. And then we have a perennials box. So all the what's in here? Like asparagus seeds and artichokes, cardoons, those kind of rhubarbs, perennial veggies are in this box. And then I have a summer box, which is everything except for okra and tomato, because I have a lot of okra and tomato seeds from trials. But summer box, and then I have 2 boxes dedicated to sprouting seeds, and then amendments, one whole box dedicated to carrots. So it's really a shame that I don't have any carrots. 1 box for ginger, 1 box for garlic, and the rest are like blueberry amendments, seed labels, snap clamps. So that's how I organize and then I also have like random seeds that I still need to store, like are harvested from our pumpkins. But I try not to have random seeds. There's also the jar method here, which, if you buy in bulk or you harvest a lot, it's nice to have them in jars sometimes, as long as they're dry and they keep well. So that's my system of storage.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm wondering, how long do seeds last?
So it's different numbers for different seeds. So in the seed shop, I actually have a list that I got from Johnny Seeds here. And this is, let's see, it's also in either the GIY community in terms of seeds or in the core course. But it says, the average storage life of different seeds is listed. Usually if it's flowers, anything that's a small seed, onions, flowers, alliums, they are about 1 year. So those things, anything that's small, usually a small seed. So sometimes like phlox, pansy, it says 1 to 2 years, 1 to 3 years. But I always think like, okay, it's a small seed, it's a flower seed, it's 1 year. It's an onion.
What I would always recommend, though, if you have like old onion seeds, that you still try to see if they'll germinate, because then it's just, you have no low expectations. Whatever you get is just a freebie. So
Yeah.
you might as well just sprinkle them somewhere and see what comes up.
And then the seeds that are the longest, arugula, 6 years. Not necessarily size too. Although cucumber, 3 to 6 years is a biggish seed, right? Cress, endive, 5 years. Okra, 4 years. Turnip, watermelon, 4 to 5 years. So there's like this kind of trend, bigger seeds last longer. But yeah, some seeds will surprise us. Anything else, Nicole?
I just think this is a little bit fun that people will appreciate. You know, like the old CD cases
Uh-huh.
from
You
like
wanna
when
show us?
when CDs were a thing.
Yes.
My seeds are just in those little pockets.
Oh, yes, yes,
I was
yes, yes.
recycling. I'm like, what do I use this for? Oh,
Oh, I
seeds.
love that. Yes, I love that. And I've also done that in the past. Like we had um a whole vlog on that. So I have in my cabinet seed binder, and then it's in these kind of things, the things that hold the baseball cards. That's how I store them sometimes. But I'm sure you guys have, I know you have different systems and all right. So now let us go and move forward. What
Nikki, can
do
you show your flower list really quickly one more time?
oh, sure, sure, yeah.
Snap a shot of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That way you can see if I have extras if you want me to send you some. I'm happy to do that too, because I will be sending you all seeds, but not until the first week of January. Now, here's the question. Now that you know this background, what do you want to grow in 2024? Remember, this is always prefaced with what does your family like to eat or what you've noticed, and what costs too much at the grocery. Normally, these are tomatoes, herbs. We have yet to republish the blog where we had the ROI of different crops that you would grow. But do you remember the results of that again, Dave, when you had written that blog?
Yeah, there's some things that it's what you try to do is correlate things that are easy to grow, that produce a lot, and are expensive at the supermarket, or they're very polluted, or they spray them a lot. So things like strawberries can be quite, if you can get them, if you don't have any bug pressure, they can be very productive, quite easy to grow. They're very expensive at the supermarket, and they spray them with lots of pesticides. So you're looking for that kind of like initially things that you eat a lot of, that your family eats a lot of, that are good candidates for growing in your garden.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so I'll give everyone 1 minute to try to derive from that information what you want to grow in 2024.
One other tip is that it's you don't want to be a masochist when you're picking what you want to grow. So you don't want to always say, I'm going to grow all the hard things because I'm really going to challenge myself. There may be things that don't excite you, but it's just nice to have a few go-tos. This is where Nikki's like looking back at what grew well the previous year. It's nice to have a couple of those as kind of safety nets for self-confidence, as well as you kind of know you're going to get some harvest from those things.
Yeah, it's the reason that we grow Tromboncino rampicante every year.
No matter how many squash bugs there are, that thing can fight them off.
Okay, so that was the 1 minute. So now from that list, I can tell what I need to buy because in my brassica box, I did not have Brussels sprouts. And basically, I just put stuff here that was from my did not grow well list, plus the culantro that Vic mentioned, because I'm curious to know what that tastes like and what that how that grows. And orach, because I've always seen purple orach and in permaculture gardens, but I've never really grown it myself. Plus, these are stuff that we eat a lot of. Green onions, and I never have green onions, even though I try to regrow them, they just don't grow up fast enough. So for all my Asian cooking. So what are the annuals that you need to buy in 2024? And then the flowers that I would like to buy, so this is where I bring out the catalogs, right? I get
This is
from
the fun part. 'Cause
You can give yourself permission, but then you have to go with, within your budget. So I've just chosen a few bulbs. I really like allium bulbs, and I've never grown them before. Tulips. I already have tulips actually. I just put that because the tulips in this catalog look good. Snowdrops because they're the first to bloom in the winter. Now foxtail lily, Aromeras, it looked nice. That's why I put it there. Echinacea because I have no seeds of that. Snapdragons because they look cute in the farmers market. And dahlia tubers, more of them, where the deer can't get them. So that deer problem is another thing I need to tackle. But I need to have the seeds first before I tackle the deer problem. So third is we're going to start to use a reliable system to capture all these plants that we're trying to grow. Now, some of you may be using a paper-based system, and this is great because we do have a different way of thinking when we write things down. I still have a paper planner, a paper agenda, and a journal that I keep to write things down, whether it's from the garden or prayer. And I think that there's a different way that your mind works when it's paper-based, maybe more creative, in fact. But the cons to that, it's easy to lose and add to. And then a spreadsheet is that you can see the info and add to it in an orderly way if you have a good spreadsheet system. And I've put the bit.ly link to that plant spreadsheet that we would share during our monthly garden planning sessions for anybody here who'd like to use a spreadsheet system instead. So the only con is that you have to be online to access it, of course. And it's hard to see the difference between the changes throughout the years. So you could have this for 1 year where you put your perennial plants. This is what the bit.ly link listed here, bit.ly/plant-list-sheet shows. You can have like all your perennial plants in one tab, but then you can't it's hard to track all the information about it later on if you'd like to say attacked by, attacked by a wasp in year 2023 or so on and so forth. So you it's pretty much a good spreadsheet for like 1 year, I think. So I have used it too. But with the stuff that we wanted to do is design more, we felt like it wasn't enough. And you can also use Sage, which you can see the info online and add to it in an orderly way. There are different views available to you. So you could have a spreadsheet view like this. It also tells you how much space you have left to grow in, shows you a timeline calendar of your plants, and it will auto suggest for you in the future other plants that you might not have thought of, just like the way that this webinar kind of prompts you into thinking of other things. Oh, that I forgot. As we are sharing our own list, hopefully you're like reminded to add to yours or reminded that you grew that in the past. And from this list, you'll be able to build a garden design using those specific plants and monitor their growth or note their growth throughout the years. So here's a view of that calendar timeline that's automatically created when you put in your plants. And
just like when you're building a large building, there's a lot of scaffolding and construction going on right now. But I think pretty soon there'll be this transition once all the main pieces are in place for Sage, where it's not just building a bunch of facilities and structures. It's figuring out, going back then and figuring out, okay, we have these tools. How do we use them for ourselves to organize our garden and get insights and figure out how to be more productive in our gardens?
That's right. So the next step is to choose 4 plants from your list that you will grow in one area in your garden in 2024. And I'm just choosing 4 so that we limit the time that we're going to be here. We have limited time. But this is for this next step, which is to walk you through how to use Sage if you were to use it, and to try it out and see if it's something that might be helpful. Dave will take over from here.
So I'll yeah, share my screen. So the first step, once you have that list of 4 things, is to log into Sage. So the URL is here. I'll post it in the chat.
Here, I can post it.
You can. So if you haven't logged in a while, your username is typically your email address, except older users who have been in GIY for a while might have a username. And I haven't gotten rid of that. And then the default password is Sage password 1 with a capital S and a capital P. If you've forgotten it or you changed it and you forgot it, you can go through this forgot your password, where this more than likely will be your email address. If you don't know what your username is, I can look it up for you. And then this will send you a verification code, and then you can set your email, reset your password that way. Otherwise, if you want to change your password from the default, what I recommend is once you log in, up here, you can change your password after you log in. That's much easier because it does it.
Is it okay if you put the password in the chat also? The default one?
Yeah. Nikki will do that. So you can put your Sage password here and change that. And that happens immediately. So once you log out from that session, then you'll have the new password. So that's just simpler than getting a verification code. The reason why we do the whole verification code is I'm using a Amazon for authentication, and everything nowadays. This is kind of like the simplest way to do authentication. At some point, it'll be biometrics or something, but this is kind of like, I can't make it really, unfortunately, any simpler than that. So I'll just wait to make sure that everybody can log in. And then once you log in, the first thing you'll see is the My Plants view. And I'll just very, very quickly explain the different parts. So the designer is kind of like a visual view. The My Plants is where you organize all your plant information. And there's already a lot of pieces in this, and there's going to be more. So we're just adding kind of some of the last pieces to this and figuring out how they'll flow, how the data and things will flow. There's the planting calendar. So this is where you can get alerts over email or text of dates that are coming up that you want to track, like when you're supposed to start your seeds. And then it's not here yet, but there'll be a thing called observations. And that's going to be where if you track what happens to your plants, you'll be able to get some insights into, like, instead of figuring out what did grow well, then Sage will be able to tell you what grew well and what you should grow again based off what grew well. And maybe giving some suggestions about different combinations of things to grow for different seasons. When you look at the My Plants view, you basically have 2 different views that were there before. So you have this view of your garden breaking things into areas, and then you have this view where you break things. It's kind of like everything at once in a kind of traditional spreadsheet view. So it's the same data, you're just viewing it in a different way. So we wanted to make it flexible so that people could organize their garden based off what they're comfortable with. But for now, I'm going to focus on the area view. So I've if you want to add a new area, you can click here and add a new area. So it's going to be like new. And then it'll add a tab here. In order to see what's in that area, you click on the name of the area, and it expands to show you the plants that you kind of slated for
Dave,
yep.
we have a problem with logging in for Nicole. She said she tried Sage password, I mean the Sage password that we had, and it didn't work.
Okay, let me stop share for a second.
Yeah, forget password, but then it didn't send her an email. It should send to your email that you use your username. So
Yeah, it says reset link is sent to your mailbox. Check there, but I don't see one when I go to my email.
would it be in the spam, Dave?
Oh, maybe. Let me see. Didn't check that. Don't see it on.
Let me just check your email.
Yeah, and let me like I'm gonna search it on here too. Sage. Yeah, I don't think I got one.
And then if you could remind me on your wait, you could just post in the chat your email.
Or not to everyone, but just to Dave, yeah, if you wanted.
Okay.
And maybe for the rest of us, we can keep on looking at our list and refining it.
Yeah, so let's see. I don't see your email. Know that you're in here.
Oh, she's not in the Sage.
You have okay, you have a different username, that's why. Since you're one of the users who have been here for a while, I think that's your username. I'll just double check. I'll just log out and I'll see if you can use the default password. Yeah, you can use the default password that logged me in. Just let me know if you are able to get in now.
Yes, it worked. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so sharing again. And there's actually I don't want to spend too much time going over what you can do right now in my plants. So I'm just gonna really kind of focus on how you would add your seed list, your seed inventory. So that it's still a little clunky, but you'll kind of see the intent of how we would go about this. So the idea is that you can create custom plants and save them. So these might be varieties that you've grown and they've done really well, and you want to make sure that you're going to grow them next year. You've saved seeds from them. So for example, there's a beet that we have that I really liked it. This year it was very productive. So what you would do, there's one way of you can create, there's like a database of right now there's maybe 56 annual and perennial species, and we're gonna have a hackathon in like next week where we're gonna add like another 100 perennials. So we're eventually gonna have the ability that you can, if you want to add a plant that's not even on that list, that you can add that. But there's a lot of data associated with the ones that are already there, things like carrots and cabbages and things like that. So you can take an existing plant that you've added. So if I added something like basil and Genovese basil, if I left click on the little card, then you'll see it's already populated an awful lot of data. And you can change all of this to customize it for your climate and what you've figured out to be the actual temperatures and germination times and all everything that's specific for that. And eventually there'll be lots of notes that you take. So right now, this is kind of basic, but there'll be a way to view this in a kind of more like a browsing. I'm calling it profile. So you're kind of browsing the plant profile. But once you have a plant, and what I recommend is for now, you just take those 4 plants, you create them somewhere, and then you can save them. So there's a little icon here, looks like a floppy disk from the old days. If you click on that, then this allows you to kind of create your custom plant library. So, for example, I could call it the best basil, whatever you want to call it. I can even come up with let me just go grab a basil photo. Load that photo. Well, I'll just use this photo for now, Snowball, which is actually a cauliflower. But then when you save it and you go to this custom plants view, you can then see the idea is that you could build up a plant library over time of all your plants that you plan on planting the next year. And then when you look at this view, so you go to this view by clicking custom plants view in the My Plants. Right now, this is going to pop up if you want to have more like a kind of a browsing all that information in a more readable format. So this isn't quite up yet, but it will be up pretty soon, probably in the next week. And then you can get rid of it. But what we're really doing for now is you would go ahead and create some of these. And then if you're planning out your next year, then this thing here allows you to copy that plant to one of your plant areas. So if I have a future raised bed 2024, and what this will do is it'll take that saved plant in your plant library, and it'll make a copy of that in that area so that you can then figure out, okay, this year in the spring, I want to grow that plant in this area in my garden. And I want to maybe grow like 30 of them. So now if I go back to the normal view and I change to 2024 here, then I see the new raised bed, and I can see that I've added that cauliflower. And then you can then customize it for spring and whether you're seed starting and all the you can change all this information to reflect when you're going to plant the plant, when you're going to harvest it. So this is a little rough. It's going to get more streamlined. And in this custom view, one of the things here will be your inventory so that you'll be able to say whether you currently have seeds or don't have seeds. But the idea is that I'm just trying to think about a workflow or how you could think about starting to plan out your seeds for the spring. And the idea would be that you create this plant library first, and then you start mapping it to the places that you're going to grow it in your garden. And then there's a lot of tools here once you have the plants in your area, you can then start looking at the things by, the plant families, making sure that you have a diversity of the plant families. If you have, this is more for like perennials, but you can start looking at timelines as well.
Wait, Dave, you're going too fast. Like, okay, so the plant families. So the different views are that you can see the different plant families and make sure that we're covering the diversity of planting that we need to have in order to have a balanced ecosystem in our gardens. And then go ahead in your guild function, Love, and if you could explain the guild function more.
So this is more for what if you're trying to build a perennial guild. So for example, and there aren't a lot of perennials right now in Sage, but as we add things, there's a search here, so you can search by your climate. So we're temperate for USDA 7. We don't have any ground. Oh, there we go. Ground cover yarrow. Then you can add that to your garden there. You can see it's there's different functions in your guild. So you want to try to get one of each of these things, or at least a couple of each of these things. And then there's kind of like the 3D food forest layer. So this indicates that yarrow is at the herbaceous layer, and it fills out the ground cover. So this is just a different way of looking at the plants in your garden. And a lot of the things here that are currently there, if you switch back to the times, I think it's because a lot of these things don't really have a function, or we haven't really identified yet what their function in a guild would be. So I guess with fava bean, I haven't put that there, but that would be a insectary. So
Nitrogen
not insectary, a nitrogen fixer.
Yeah.
Some of the data we're going to fill out on these things, but
And that's what the kids will help us do on the 20th. So thank you, Dave. It
I
basically,
just didn't want to go too long because
I know, I'm sorry, but I didn't want it to be too fast too that you can't see. So basically what Sage does over a normal plant list would be you can see the same information that you put once, but put in like different modular, like Lego ways. Like you want to see it in a guild, you want to see it in your design, then you can see it there as well. But at the same time, it's transitioning to that, because as Dave you can see, a lot of you have seen him work on this for many months now, and how it's changed. So I just want to really give a lot of praise. Dave, thank you so much for all your work for doing this, because it's come a long way from when we first started it.
Question.
Yes, Vivian.
Because Dave may have gone over this, but I was trying to figure something out when I was in Sage doing something.
Yeah.
So I may have missed it, but how do I switch my year?
oh yeah, so
Because I want to put in for 2024, not 2023, which is already in here.
sure. This is something that probably will change, because I just used it's not immediately apparent, and Nikki was, when she saw this last night.
I was making fun of him. That's why I feel bad because I was was making fun of how it was
There's like
an
an
Easter
Easter
egg.
egg. Here.
It's an Easter egg. You find, ooh, congratulations, you found a surprise feature.
So I'll probably be changing this to make it a lot more intuitive, but right now you just click on the year. It'll change to a pull down. You select on the pull down 2024, and then you click the check mark, and then it'll switch it to 2024.
And will that do it for all the beds or just the bed I'm in?
So what it's done right now is if you had any existing beds, it's assign it to the current year, 2023, automatically. If you create new beds, so if I add an area now, I would switch to the year first. I would switch to 2024 first, and then I would add an area. So this might be future raised bed. And then it'll create it in 2024. So when you switch back to 2023, you won't see what was those beds that you've created for 2024. So it's kind of like a yearly, the idea is that you're probably only going to be switching back and forth when you want to start looking at historical, what you grew in an area last year or a couple years ago. But once you move to 2024, you're probably not going to be moving back and forth so much. So it's kind of the first thing you pick is the year, and then you have the areas associated with and the plants associated with it that year. What I haven't done is it'd be probably nice to copy from a previous year, the area from a previous year, so that you don't have to create all the same areas from the previous year.
Right.
I'll put that on the ClickUp board.
Yeah, because so I did and I can switch back now then to 2023 to see what's there. I just go up there and say, click the 2023. Right.
And there may be some things I haven't ironed out yet, like in the spreadsheet view, you're probably still seeing everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Well, I don't know. I didn't look at the spreadsheet view for everything. Yeah. I have 2024 displayed, and it's showing this stuff from 2023 with the thing that I was trying to add for 2024 at the very bottom. So okay.
there'll be, as I once I'm done adding like the feature, there'll be a lot of bug fixing over the next few weeks where I smooth it out so it makes sense.
Thanks so much, Vivian. This is what the value is for us to see also, is how you guys use it. And then when you use it, what are the things that you're needing? So thank you for that
So
input.
if you see something and you're like, I wish that I could do this, then don't feel shy about asking for it, because in a couple months, it'll be too late and it'll be much harder for me to be able to change it. But right now, there's still time to add features.
I have a question.
Sure.
Does it do the feature of, like, let's say I load my, like, a garden bed from 2023 and I put, I don't know, tomatoes as one of the plants there, and then in 2024 I try to put tomato there again, will it say maybe you don't want to do that because you want to rotate your plants or something like that?
Yeah, so that's going to be more like the observations. So I think that's one of the things we'll be figuring out over the next month is how to do that in a kind of supportive, non-intrusive way. Because if it's too fascist about it and says you cannot put a tomato here, then that'll probably be be too strict. but maybe
You have to have the override button where you're like, ignore ignore that advice.
but I think having just some guidance.
Mhm.
Also, when you go to I go back to 2023. When there'll be a crop rotation view. So most of these views, you can filter by the season. Just to see what you're growing per season. But we thought about this, and it would be useful to have a separate view here where you could see the rotations within a year. So you could see the spring, and you could see all the arrows pointing to the summer, so that like, okay, here's the tomato in the summer in this area. In the place of the tomato, I'm going to be putting the peas or something, or the beans. So I'm not going to put another heavy feeder. I'm not going to put the cabbage in the same place where I had the tomato. And then with the designer, that's kind of like the visual part of that. So I'm going to be linking areas with the My Plants portion. So it's the same data. So you'll be able to visually see that rotation as well. Like the tomato will disappear when you are dragging it through the year. I'm not sure if that was that
Thank
answered your question.
Oh, I think Nicole dropped off.
So I will stop share and let
Oh no, she's there.
Nikki
Oh, there.
finish up with a
Sorry. Yeah, okay. So I'll finish up, and I've noted the feature requests. Thank you so much for that. So I guess just to finish up, I just wanted you all to
You have
know.
a few slides that you
Mhm.
there's a
Yes.
couple last slides talking about roadmap.
Oh, well, we can just breeze through those. Sorry, let me share my screen. Thank you for staying on. So here, okay, plant list Q&A, we did that. And so now is just the roadmap. Dave, yes. So like I said in the chat, this is part of 4 parts of Sage, is the My Plants part, which is the most, like, it's the database of all your plants, how you use that data. But also included in Sage is the planting calendar, so that sends us the reminders, right, of what to do in the garden, and the designer, which Dave showed you a little bit of. The 4th part, which is something that's very permaculture, is the observations piece. So that's the part that Dave is working on right before we kickstart in February. So some related Sage events. January 1st is the end of Sage free beta. So we actually will be closing, like, we won't give beta testing anymore January 1st to people who would like to beta test. So if you have friends who you think are gardeners who could make use of Sage now, tell them to sign up to be a Sage beta tester until till the end of the year. They can still do that. And then we have after January 1st, even now, you have the ability to reserve Sage, the Sage app, for, this is 50%, for $1, and get 50% off of Sage when we kickstart it, when we offer it to the market. And then January 13 is our Plan Year 2024 Food Garden Without the Stress live stream.
So by then, both the designer and the My Plants will be a lot cleaner, but the observations part still won't be quite there for the workshop. So you'll be able to plan, but you won't be able to get really so many insights yet.
So January 13 is Dave's, well, January 20th, the hackathon is Dave's next work push for
December 20th.
Sorry, December 20th, the hackathon with the kids, is to get all those perennial and plant data into the system. And then the 13th is when is the next stage of releases. And so in the Sage Beta Test Central link, in a page, the Sage page, you'll be able to see this now where you can reserve sage for $1 to get it at 50% off when it's available for purchase, plus permaculture garden bonuses. So this will be one of those things that are only for those who reserve sage with, who do reserve sage. And that's it for now. So please spread the word about sage, whether you have friends who are going to be a sage beta tester or people who you'd like to, who anybody or you yourself would like to reserve sage at 50% off. We would really be grateful. Thank you for your support throughout the months.
Is there a link to where to reserve
Yeah,
it?
thank you. I'll put that now.
And if we are using the beta tester sage or whatever beta version, does it save whatever we've put in there like later if we get the sage when it's
Yeah,
like
it won't reset. I'm not gonna reset everything. I'm
Okay.
just, I back up the data, so.
In fact, he didn't even want to reset anybody, what the different pushes, even old users, like he tries not to reset because that can be hard when you've had a lot of data stored there already. Thank you. Did you have any other questions about this, or was this helpful to your plant list, making that time to like, okay, and now I know a little bit more what I'm gonna purchase or not purchase? Okay, great. Well, thank you, ladies, and I hope and bye to all webinar replayers. I hope that this to see you again in our next workshop. Bye.
So much. Bye.